thing. The project is called Mobile Logic. It's about an app that works on Android phones and tablets, and that allows the students to do logic exercises when they want to do them, which is almost never. Here's the structure of this thing. It's not necessary to look at this. Here's how it looks actually on a phone. So you have some information about this program, and you have the learning is the handbook where you can actually learn something, and then you have the exercises, which is the core thing, and the truth table generator. Here is part of this handbook. When you click here on learning, you get this. So you get a list of topics, and then you can read this. With the activities, we have some validity exercises, logical equivalence, English to logic, translations. So this is all content from the Logic and Critical Thinking CCC 8001 course. There are different levels of difficulty you can choose, and then you get, here's an example of how it looks when you have a validity exercise. So you have to show whether this thing on top there is valid or not, and you're presented with a truth table with question marks, and then by clicking on these question marks you can make them be true or false, and later you get a result whether what you did was correct or not. So if they're incorrect, they turn red. And these are the equivalence questions. You get two statements and you have to say whether they're equivalent, yes or no. And if you do it wrongly, then again you get feedback that this is incorrect, and a truth table to show you what is correct or not correct about your answer. Here is a translation to logic exercise. Some teapots are not expensive, so you have to click on one of the 4 buttons to say what your translation would be. And if the answer is wrong, again, you get the right answer. And this is the truth table generator. You can say, I want to have the truth table for this formula, and then you enter it up there, and you get the truth table. Okay, here's again part of the handbook, which is actually enough content to teach you how to do these things. The project itself, we're almost through. You will be happy to hear. So it makes learning on the move possible. It makes learning more fun because of the engaging interface. It is faster and more convenient to use than pen and paper. It can be used by instructors to create quizzes. I used it actually for this year's final exams. It is able to generate infinitely many questions. So if you are a logic teacher, you can only generate a limited amount of exercises. And it provides immediate feedback to students and shows them where they made mistakes. It can adjust to the levels of different students. So now about the future development. Of course, future development is limited because the whole course is going to be discontinued. So we don't know what will happen with this thing later. There are some issues with compatibility because of the different display sizes and fonts on Android devices. So in order to correct these, we would have to have a lot more testers and different hardware. But these problems are mainly cosmetic, so the app should be usable on most devices, but it will look better on some devices than on other devices. It would be nice if the course existed in the future to have more logic topics added to this. So the biggest problems we had, and this is primarily, I'm here to warn you not to do this kind of thing the way we did it, because the biggest problems have been related to the developers. The project started without the developer as part of the team. The hired developer left the project after a while, left behind an abandoned iPhone app. The new developer who was hired second did not want to continue developing that and started again with Android. So the app was programmed twice from scratch. And before it finished, the second developer left and abandoned the app again. So we took over ourselves and finished it over the summer holidays. I thought of putting a picture of me programming on the beach, surrounded by my children, but in the end I thought perhaps I don't. I'm wearing only a swimsuit, so it's not so nice to look at. So the most important insight of this whole thing is don't start app development if you don't have a developer as part of your team, really. It is very hard to oversee and then to replace an external developer without having to throw away much of your code, especially if you don't have experience in software project management. Freelancers generally do not identify with your project. They have nothing to lose if they abandon the project, if it becomes a burden to them. As soon as they have got the money, they can leave, right? And especially young and inexperienced developers might be well-meaning, but they don't know how to manage a software project. So they need specific advice and guidance and clearly defined deadlines and milestones, and you will need someone to oversee the development and provide these guidelines and milestones. And you can only provide these if you understand the development process and the app structure. So if your team does not have experience in managing software projects and you need to outsource the development, then at least go for a big company with many projects and good references, and don't take individual developers. Even if they're cheaper, it might seem to be more expensive initially to give it to a great company, but having these developers work on your project one after the other and then leaving is more expensive in the long run. And the outcome is uncertain. It's not certain whether you ever end up with a finished project. Okay, so this is all. If you have more questions, or if you want to develop an app and want to hear more of the details, you can contact me there. Okay, thank you.